Hi Oakwood second graders, it's Miss Barnett coming to you from your town square in the city of Granbury, county of Hood. Did you know that Granbury is the county seat for Hood County? It is, and this back here behind me is your Hood County Courthouse that I'm sure you've seen many times. This statue right here is of Hiram B. Granbury, who is the city is named after. So welcome to your virtual field trip. First up on the important buildings in the city of Granbury is your Hood County Courthouse. This is the one that you know and love today, and it was built back in the 1800s. I'm not positive of the date at the moment, but there is a slideshow that you can go through to find out more information about this building. It has gone through many renovations over the years, and this is the beautiful structure that we have today. Court used to be held in here. It's not held here anymore, but there are still lots of services that take place in this building. This is a statue to remember General Hiram B. Granbury, who the city of Granbury was named after. He was a general in the Civil War and died in the Battle of Franklin in Tennessee. Okay, this building you may or may not have paid much attention to when you've driven down Pearl Street on your city square, but this is the Opera House. The Opera House you can see up here where it says Opera House. It was built in 1886, and it has housed operas and other forms of theater for many years. It's beautiful on the inside. It has been renovated over the years. They are said it is to be haunted by John St. Clair, who was an actor that is also rumored to have been the assassinator, John Wilkes Booth. John Wilkes Booth was his actual name. He went by another name, John St. Clair, that assassinated President Abraham Lincoln in the 1860s. There's a really neat story that we would have learned about in the classroom, but again, look for that slideshow in your classroom assignments, okay? This is a statue of Mary Lou Watkins. She was born in 1917 and passed away in the year 2001. She was a descendant of the Nutt brothers, which were Granbury's founding fathers. She was a preservation pioneer, and through her fierce determination and dedication, Mary Lou led the fight to save the heritage of Granbury, which was her beloved hometown. Mary Lou gave Granbury the key to its future by preserving its historic Texas past to share with others. Her efforts resulted in Granbury becoming the first town square in Texas to be placed on the National Register. And so this is Mary Lou's enduring legacy, and she is right here on the corners of Crockett and Bridge on the town square. Okay, the building in front of you now is the Hood County Jail that was used from the years 1885 to 1978. If we were on our field trip, we would actually go in. There's lots of really neat history inside there. They're not just things about law enforcement or jail type things, but also toys that kids played with back in the 1800s, clothing, hair tools, different things like that, kitchen tools, all sorts of things. In the jail was actually up on the second floor of the building. On the first floor, back in the 1800s, the late 1800s into the 1900s, the sheriff actually lived on the bottom floor with his family, and the inmates would stay in the top part of the jail. The jail is open during normal times. Right now it's not, but it's not an expensive thing to go to, and I encourage you that once things are open and running again, for you and your family to come visit the town jail and learn some more history about that. We're about to walk down just a few steps to see the first log cabin. Inside of this little green home was the very first log cabin in Hood County. Outside of the log cabin and historic home is a marker that gives you information about the story of the Yeats Duke House. It's preserving Texas pioneer history and folk architecture, and is an example of pioneer life in Hood County. I encourage you to come check it out. Okay, now we're a little bit off of the square by the railroad tracks. Have you ever seen this building? It's the Granbury Depot, and it's now a museum where you can take a step back into history. You can come here and visit it with your family, and you will learn about how back in the 1800s, the 1900s, the trains would take you southwest to Stephenville. It also connected you northeast to the city of Fort Worth. Okay, I am currently in the Granbury Cemetery, and in front of you are two memorials or tombstones. This one right here is General Granbury's tombstone. This one belongs to his wife, Fanny. I'll give you a little information about her in just a moment, but I wanted to give you some information about General Hiram B. Granbury. He led the Texas Brigade in the Civil War for the South. He was part of the Confederacy. He was born March 1st, 1831, died November 30th, 1864. He was killed in action in Franklin, Tennessee in the Battle of Franklin. The city of Granbury is named after him. Interestingly enough, I believe he was buried in Tennessee after that battle, but they exhumed his remains and brought him to Granbury and buried him here, where his remains lie now. His wife, Fanny Sims Granbury, she was born in 1835 and died on April 20th, 1863. She passed away and was actually in an unmarked grave. So her remains are not actually buried here, but we still have the memorial to remember her by. Another famous Texan you might have heard of before is David or Davy Crockett. He came from Tennessee and fought in the Battle of the Alamo, which is where he lost his life. I've heard that, I do believe he might have been the very last person to lose his life in the Battle of the Alamo. Interestingly enough, he had written home to his wife, Elizabeth, back home in Tennessee, that this area is a place that he would have liked to have settled after the war for Texas's independence was won. He did not live to see that happen, but Elizabeth did move here later in years. This is a family plot for the family of Ashley Crockett, who was the grandson of Davy Crockett. Now that's just a memorial for the whole family, but Ashley Crockett is buried here. He was born on August 6th, 1857, and passed away on May 31st, 1954. Something important about Ashley Crockett, besides being the grandson of Davy Crockett, is he was the editor of the Granbury Tablet, which was a newspaper back in the 1900s. One more thing, sorry for the movement, but this is the gravestone of Kenneth W. Hendricks, born December 23rd, 1925, and he passed away July 16th, 2014. Now that was almost 6 years ago, so it wasn't that long ago. I actually met Mr. Hendricks probably around 2010, maybe a little bit earlier. But I met him, and he was a very old man. I met him in the jail. He was down at the jail when I went on a field trip one time. And interestingly enough, even as an old man, sitting next to his, I think Davy Crockett was his great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather. He looked very much like Davy Crockett. It was uncanny. So that's just a little bit of a fun fact there. Another memorial in Granbury Cemetery is that of E.A. Hannaford. He was born on October 12th, 1841 in Ashburton, England. He immigrated to Granbury, and when he was here, they say that he came to Granbury with gold in his pockets. He started the very first pharmacy in a tent in Granbury, and so that means he had medications to help people when they got sick. He passed away November 5th, 1915 and is buried here. Another important person to Granbury's history that is also buried in the Granbury Cemetery was John Formwalt, born October 23rd, 1848, passed away May 21st, 1928. And the importance that he had on the city of Granbury is that he opened a store here so people could buy goods that they needed. He also fought in the Civil War. This is where A.J. Wright lays. He was born August 4th, 1819, died January, I believe, 28th, 1889. The importance that he has to Granbury is that he was the first sheriff of Hood County. Okay, here's some fun little Texas trivia and a legend for you. This is the grave marker for Jesse Woodson James. Have you ever heard of Jesse James? He was an outlaw of the Wild Wild West. Said to have been born September 5th, 1847 and died August 15th, 1951. But if you look down here at the very bottom, it says supposedly killed in 1882. And that is a legend that Jesse James left his old bad ways as an outlaw and came to Granbury and later died here. Do you believe it or not? Okay, last but not least, this is the surprise stop on the field trip. I'm in Acton at the Acton Cemetery, and behind me is the statue of Elizabeth Crockett. Remember in the last cemetery I told you about David Crockett's family and Ashley Crockett, his grandson, where he was buried. This is the grave site of Elizabeth Crockett. She was Davy Crockett's wife, and she moved here to this area. It was Johnson County, then became Hood County, part of Hood County, and she settled here, not in this spot, not in the cemetery, but a little bit further from here in what became Hood County and Granbury. So this is Elizabeth Crockett. She is looking out to the west for David to come home. So that's a symbol of them. And this happens to be the smallest state park in Texas. So Acton has the very smallest state park in all of our state, our great state of Texas. So that's some really cool trivia. Granbury is a wonderful town to live in. I don't live here. I'm the only teacher in second grade that doesn't live in Granbury. And I love my town of Burleson too, but I seriously love the town of Granbury. People always ask me, Miss Barnett, why do you teach here? Why do you teach here? Why do you drive so far? It's because I love this town. I love Oakwoods and I love the kids. And it's just very special to me. So I hope that Granbury is special to you too, and that you can get out of your houses soon and get to go visit these places that are right here in your town that you might not have even realized were so special. All right, have a great one. We'll talk to you later.